Hello everyone and welcome to the beginning of my quick discussion series. Today I will be discussing the Apothecary Diaries. The video is divided into two main sections with two subcategories each. The first section will be about the general thoughts and summary of the Apothecary Diaries, and the second section will be about the art that I drew for this video. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the actual real portion of the video. Honestly, the Apothecary Diaries is one of the most intriguing anime I've seen. There's mystery, drama, romance, and the characters have consequences for their actions. Oh, and there's murder. For anyone who doesn't know or needs a refresher, the Apothecary Diaries is an anime that dabbles in the drama, mystery, and romance genres, and is set in a fictional world that takes inspiration from Imperial China. The story is centered around a 17-year-old girl named MaoMao who has been training under her father, the local apothecary. That is until one day she's captured and sold off as a servant to work in the courts of the Imperial Palace. It is there that she gets swept up in the mysteries surrounding the disappearances and deaths of those that work there, and she uses her talents as an apothecary to help solve them. Honestly, what caught my attention in the first place for this anime was the whole apothecary thing. I like herbs, but I stayed because I found the characters and the story fun and interesting. And in my opinion, the Apothecary Diaries dips into tropes but does them right. The characters feel like people. That being said, I suppose you'd like to hear a little bit more about these characters. MaoMao is what I think should be a standard for writing strong leads in general. Yes, she is a strong female lead, and I think she outshines a lot of female leads in most anime, but MaoMao is just well written in general. She's insightful and analytical. She's often lost in her own head, but she doesn't fall into the robotic and unfeeling trope that a lot of smart characters tend to fall into. She has empathy and cares about the health of others. MaoMao also has quirks, but she doesn't fall into the adorkable trap. She's just passionate about poison, and it doesn't consume her constantly either. It makes her impulsive sometimes, but that doesn't take away the fact that she is self-aware. She thinks carefully before she speaks, or she tries to at least. But most of the time, she's careful because she is, after all, a peasant girl that's living in the courts of the Imperial Palace. One wrong move, and she could lose her head. I've seen a fair amount of main protagonists that grossly underestimate the situation they're in and seem to be unaware of how things work around them in general, and it often makes them feel extremely disconnected from the world. They also tend to hang back and just let things happen to them or let others dictate their path, which is fine if that's part of their character arc, but I digress. MaoMao operates under the pre-established parameters of her world, and she doesn't become complacent. She takes an active role in the story. In her story, we, the viewers, mostly see the narrative from MaoMao's point of view. She should be the main focus and the one pushing her own story forward. Yes, there are outside forces that affect and influence the course of events. There wouldn't be a plot without it, but she has agency. On that note, because she has agency, she is prone to making mistakes, and there are consequences for those mistakes, and it is those repercussions that keep me on the edge of my seat and keep me coming back for more. Jinchi acts as a semi-secondary main protagonist. We don't see much of him at first. He is obviously the main love interest and is surrounded by mystery. So far in the anime, we don't know much about him, but we are given hints as to who he is and why he's in the palace. There are a lot of interesting hooks surrounding the young man, and a fair amount of them are either related to or stem from him. At first, Jinshi doesn't really come off as a deep character, but as the series progresses and we get to see more screen time from him, we get to see how his position and job affects him, as well as how he regards his place within the palace. We also get to see how he progressively falls in love with MaoMao and starts to care for her. He's a little bratty and a little pouty at times, relies a lot on his pretty face to get what he wants. Honestly, sometimes Jinshi's character reminds me of how Hao was portrayed in the books by Diana Wynne-Jones. But Jinshi is not nearly on the level of pettiness and childishness that Hao was. Jinshi is far more endearing and lovable in my opinion. That being said, the people in the Apothecary Diaries are treated like people, with their own goals and experiences and consequences. All in all, it's a culmination of these attributes that make MaoMao, Jinshi, and a fair amount of the side characters so compelling. Like I said before, a large part of the plot in the Apothecary Diaries is a mystery. There isn't much action, so if you're more into something that's action-packed and energetic, this may not be the anime for you. The main characters do have a fair bit of internal monologue. Personally, I think they do an excellent job at keeping it both visually and narratively interesting. I don't find it monotonous at all, but some people may find it worthy of an eye roll. It reminds me of Sherlock Holmes, so if you like stuff like that, I think you'd like this anime. Also, the story isn't perfect. Sometimes it may seem a little contrived, maybe just an itty bitty bit of a stretch, but all in all, it's pretty solid historical mystery anime. There's romance present, but it takes a back seat for the most part and is a slow burn, just like the anime itself. You aren't going to learn much about Jinshi for a while, as he is part of the mystery, nor much about anyone else aside from MaoMao. However, if you have the patience for it, following through the mystery and learning with MaoMao is half the fun. I drew our main girl MaoMao for the art in this video and chose to practice a little in perspective and lighting. I wanted MaoMao to be looking up at a flower, admiring it in the light. And the flower I chose is called Yellow Wood Sorrel, and it appears in the opening among the other flowers shown during the opening, I'm talking about the opening sequence, you know, the anime opening. And fun fact, all the flowers in the opening sequence for the Apothecary Diaries are poisonous. And finding a reference for the lighting I wanted was actually the easiest part of the whole process. I wanted a concentrated beam of light, and I found plenty of references for that on Pinterest. For the pose, however, I had something very specific in mind, so I ended up using a 3D model to help with my proportions and angles. Though the hand ended up being a little too big and the arm needed to be a little longer. But by the time I learned about that, I was too far along in my drawing to do anything about it. Anyway, I hope you liked the first quick discussion video, and if you liked it, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't, and comment below. Don't forget about the links to my socials and my Discord. Join us. Join us. Also, please keep in mind that while I am an aspiring author, I am not a professional, and this is in fact my opinion on the show. You should go watch it, please, and decide for yourself. Alright, bye-bye!